Hello everyone, welcome to another NASCAR Thunder 2004 modding video. In this one we've got a couple exciting things to cover. Unfortunately not the full holy grail of finds that I've been after, which is the live driver ratings where we could change them mid-race. Well, not just mid-race, but just in general of having that more customization for career mode where race to race the drivers perform how they should for each individual track. Unfortunately, I don't have that yet. So that bounty video, which was temporarily listed as claimed, is not claimed. The bounty has not been paid out. I got pointed closer in the right direction, and I thought that the person who did it was going to complete it. They did not. So the bounty's still on. So if you're in that side of poking around and trying to figure things out, then, by all means, feel free to join me in this quest. But besides that, I did fix or find a lot of different things that are in this video today. Some of them are hinted at already in the title. And let's just dig right in and get to the fun. I also want to note up front for anyone who's new to this modding stuff, I don't make a big deal out of it in my main video, but the most frequent question / problem I see people reporting as far as not getting the mod to work when they first try is in this cheat option. So under settings, game properties, and then down to the cheats menu, when you have them enabled, do not forget to either check default paint schemes in here, or if you don't want them to always be default, then when you're running the mod tool, if you go to live tools after you've generated the pack, you can go ahead to live paints. So I'm going to uncheck this just to show it. Oop, not that one. You go to live paints, and let me get to somebody who has more than one paint. So we were already on Ross Chastain before. Go back to him now. So if I change Ross Chastain's paint to Trackhouse and then I hit apply to game, now when I switch to Chastain, his car will be Trackhouse. So you can either use this to randomize paints and then apply, so Hamlin should be in his progressive car. If I randomize again, he's still got his progressive. Now he's back to his default, which is the Yahoo, excuse me, the Yahoo scheme. But yeah, so you can randomize or manually set paint schemes here via the live tools, live paints section. The game does have to be open before you open the mod tool for the live tools to sync up usually. I just want to note that while we're here. But that's if you want to do random paints, and if you want default paints and you don't care if they change or not, you don't want to have to mess around with the tool, you just go ahead and check default paint schemes in your cheats. You might see a few new things on screen that I'm not covering right away. I am going to get to them in a moment at some point in time, but I'm going to do these in a different order than how they appear. That said, though, the first one I'm going to cover is the max field size. So max field size has a value here which can be set anywhere from 1 to 43. I will note that at really low values, the game can act a little strange with what cars are in the field. It might also glitch out on the like starting order rundown, so you have to hit the button to skip it so it doesn't lock up. But that only really happens with weird extreme values like 1 or 2 or 3, like really low values. So the reason this is exciting, there's two reasons. One is much more exciting than the other. The reason it's a little bit exciting is that we can now limit the field to 40 cars for modern day maximum field sizes. You could also, if somebody made a pack, obviously it'd be a little weird having the truck vehicles or truck drivers and paints on stock cars, or on the Cup cars. But if somebody wanted to make a fictional, what if truck was the Cup Series pack, you could make a 36 car field your maximum as well. So the 2025 and 2024 and 2021, I have to see when exactly we went to 40. I don't remember exactly what year it was, but all those packs will have updates to them for the 40 car field, or you can just keep the pack as is. You don't have to re-download it. You could just change yours to 40 and then save core pack after that. And that will limit in the game exactly as you would expect. So I go ahead and hop in the race here and go to the back. You'll see that we have a 40 car field. So now I'm last, I'm 40th. There's not 43 cars out here. In order to set up for multiplayer beyond 2 players, so you'll have to go into your emulator controller settings and set the second controller port to DualShock 2 if you want to play 2 players. If you want to play 4 players, you can go ahead and enable multi-tap on either of the ports, and then go ahead and instead of controller port 2, you could do 1A through D as your 4-player setup. Now, obviously you have to configure all these controls. I'm just going to configure a button here so I can show you guys what I need to show you. So now it is entirely possible, this is the super exciting news, it is entirely possible to run a 4-player 36 race, whatever difficulty season. Now you're going to say, oh, well, that was already possible. Yes, that was already possible. Minus one thing, which we'll get to in a moment. So that one thing that's really exciting and was not previously possible is with this 4-player season mode, I can go ahead and play with a full field. Now the game should be able to handle this for the most part if your computer runs okay with it. You'll see it gets maybe a little bit framey. Now I'm only controlling 1 car, so I can't really control everybody. Oh, I have cautions on. That's going to be great. And I almost blew up my motor. But because I wasn't paying attention to the gears. But yeah, so this has full 4-player split screen with a full field of cars. And I don't just mean the 40 that we're seeing here because I set it to 40, but you can set it to 43 and it will let you do 43 cars in multiplayer. So previously, anyone who's had experience with this game in multiplayer before, 2 players is limited to 20 cars, and 4 players, 3 or 4 players are both limited to, I think it's 9 cars for some reason. We always thought the fear was that the frame rate would take a hit, and that probably was the case on the PS2 hardware. But on this emulator, it seems to actually run fairly smoothly, even with extra people. So this is probably one of the biggest updates that I didn't know if I'd ever find this piece of data, but we did. So now it's here, multiplayer with a full field. So yeah, as you can see, it's pretty smooth. I mean, it immediately brought out a yellow, but the frame rate is pretty smooth. It's not too bad. And if you are having issues with the frame rate, what I recommend is going under settings, game properties, you go to graphics, and I recommend going to your rendering tab and turning down the internal resolution multiplier. So it's going to make everything look a little blurrier. It's bad, it'll be a little worse. It's a little lower res, but I run at 4x, which is 2K, 1440p, and you can see that works enough. Oh yeah, that's the pause button. I can't really click through these menus. But that's pretty much it. But you see it's running at 60 frames a second here still with the 60 FPS patch for me. If you've not been running the 60 FPS patch, that's hard to say. If you've not been running that previously, then I recommend not running it when you're doing this multiplayer stuff too, because it's probably of a similar, you'll probably have a similar frame rate issue with that. So, because 60 FPS doesn't work for everybody, and my God, we got chaos going on because they wrecked into all the parked cars. But yeah, you can see fully functional, 4-player split screen at pretty good frame rate. This is, like I said, I'm super excited about this. I'm so glad to be able to put this into your guys' hands. I'm sure people will be doing 4-player challenge videos and stuff like that. Now, online play, before you guys ask in the comments, I know you guys will be in the comments saying, what about online play? What about online play? I can't do anything about the online play. The only thing I can suggest is if people have figured out how to do so via applications that let them do split screen and stuff like that, or sharing the same system. I'm not familiar with all the applications, but I know there are apps to let you connect directly to a friend's computer and essentially act as a second player. Now, yeah, you're going to have latency and things like that that are not friendly, but that's just part of the deal. So, unfortunately, I don't have a great solution for everybody for that sort of thing. Another piece that got updated that I am really excited about finally finding is a very small piece, but luckily this has been found, is the bonus points for leading a lap and leading most laps. Previously, we had the issue, I had recommended that you use these cup adjusted that I had, so we couldn't change the laps led bonus points, so it was stuck at 5 no matter what we did. So what I did is, to make them equivalent, I just did times 5 for everything. So the adjusted one has 200 points for first, 175, so on and so on, and 5 points for your bonus points. But I figured out where this data lives, so now you can go ahead. If you're not mid-season, you can go ahead and change this. If you're mid-season, it wouldn't make sense to change it now. But you can go ahead and run any of the regular cup point systems over the years and get your bonus points set the way you want. You can also set them to 0, so technically there is not a bonus point for most laps led these days. I don't even think there's a bonus point for leading a lap. So you can set these to 0 if you want. It's just, right now, I think 1 and 1 is fair, because in real life you get bonus points for stages. We don't have those. And you get bonus point for for having the fastest lap of the race. So to me, these are at least equivalent bonuses to that sort of thing. And you could always make it something different too. If you want to give like 2 points for leading most laps instead of that 1 extra, which I mean does total 2, but now it totals 3, you could do that as well. So it's up to you guys if you want to do custom point standings. I'm going to go ahead and suggest that you go into your points folder though and delete the adjusted ones if you are not in the middle of a season or career mode where you're using one of the adjusted ones. If you're using one of the adjusted ones, keep it till you at least finish whatever season you're in, whatever year you're in, and then go ahead and make the switch. So as you can see, it's 40 now the new point system, 40 points for first, 35 for second, 34, so on down the line. And my bonus points now, I set them as 1 for leading a lap and 2 for leading most laps, so actually they got 3 there, but in real life it would not be any of those, as we just discussed, but it's up to you what you want to do with those points. So now we actually have full control of the point standings for drivers and manufacturers. Now while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and, we'll just go, it don't matter what track we're at. There's a new item that I added, which it's not going to function exactly as we would like, but it does function nonetheless. I'm going to go ahead and show it here. So this feature, you can enable it while the game is paused. It doesn't have to be running or paused. It doesn't matter which state it's in to use it. So what I added was a way to manually trigger a caution. So all you have to do is, as long as this is synced up to the game properly, which the only way I think you can tell is by refreshing from game on something in career mode, but that's only for these 3 menus. Also, actually, your scoring pylon would be a way to check if it's working or not. So I'm playing as Denny Hamlin right now. So if I hit the scoring pylon and it shows the correct running order and information, then it should it should be synced up fine. That's a good way to tell as well. But if you hit trigger caution while you're driving or paused, either way, this will bring out a yellow. The only thing is, you'll notice it does not change the icon in the top left. It does not wave the yellow flag. However, all of the other functionality of a caution will apply. So when we do race back to the line in NASCAR Thunder 04. So when I do get back to the line here, you'll notice that we are under caution. So it triggers a caution. It'll show a caution replay of usually just your car, because there is no trigger to the yellow that the game is aware of, so it defaults to showing a replay of just you at the time of yellow. So that's the replay will be kind of lackluster, but the big part of this feature, some people like to make videos and have special rules or bring out yellows for certain lore reasons or whatever. You can have that ability, but the main thing that I think this gives us the option to do is stage racing. Now, it's not going to include bonus points for stages, but you can run longer races and trigger a caution at what would be the stage ends. And if you really, really wanted to, you could do some manual points adjustments via loading memory card between races to apply stage points, or maybe do that, maybe track it in an Excel sheet and just add it up and do that all at once at the end of the main regular season. But you could technically have stages. Now, obviously, the AI is not going to behave any differently, and if a pit stop were to fall where a stage end would be, they wouldn't treat it any differently than if the race was going to go green. So, that's not really something we could probably ever do, is get the AI to behave differently for stages and stuff like that, or to automatically implement stages. The only way I could think of to maybe do it, and I still don't think it's possible, is to kind of hijack the All-Star race code and make that work for the regular races, because the All-Star race is segmented in this game. So technically you could maybe repurpose that at some point, but that would take a lot of modding that is quite beyond the realm of anything close to what we've done so far. So that's a big, that's a whole other can of worms. Also, we have fresh tires every segment, which, I mean, isn't inaccurate, but it would kind of change around the point of pitting early and stuff like that. So that's triggering a caution. It's a single button in the live tools, and there is no way I can really notify you that it actually took place. You just have to click the button and see if it worked or not. You could always use save states if you want to make sure it happens on a certain lap or something like that, and make sure it was working. So last but certainly not least, I want you to pay attention to my miles per hour gauge here. So just note that I'm going to stay full throttle through the entirety of what I'm recording here, no matter what happens in front of me. And I want you to note when my miles per hour drops drastically with the draft. So this is when you get a raw on somebody. So this is a feature that has been in the games, in all of the EA NASCAR games that I'm aware of, that you cannot shut off. It is essentially an auto brake to try to keep you from running in the back of somebody. So I got a big run, 187 I got up to, and it hit the brakes and slowed me down to 182 so I wouldn't run in the back of Jimmy Johnson. This feature has been in these games and has been just a real pain. It really takes away from the racing. It makes it hard to draft when you're a rookie and you get a big run and your car doesn't have much horsepower, because the AI cars, they accelerate on ridiculous levels at times, and when you're in career mode and you have a crappy car, it's really hard to keep the draft, because every time you get a run or close the gap, the game auto brakes, and I did lift there. The game auto brakes, and you lose all momentum, and it's really hard to just keep up with the pack. But that feature is now an option. I finally found this one. I'm so freaking happy that I found this one. But that is in the mod tool itself on the main screen. You just have this checked, that it should be checked by default to turn off closing speed auto brake. That's essentially what I called it, is the closing speed auto brake. That's just something I made up. It doesn't have an official name or term. Even in code, it doesn't have any label that makes any sense. So I was just lucky to work this one out. So now I'm gonna load a race without it, and you'll see the difference. If you've not noticed this before, you're gonna be like, man, how did I not notice that? Because it is something that definitely affects especially super speedway racing, but it does happen at all tracks. It's not just a my cheats did not load correctly. Hold on. Why did that not go? So yeah, if you've not noticed this before, this really changes the game, and it does not just affect things on super speedways. It affects things on, I have the game on speed up, hold on. It affects things on all tracks. This auto brake happens at literally every track in the game. It is not a specific plate track effect. It's just to keep you from running in the back of cars when they check up, or when something happens in front of them, or when you have a big head of steam. It's just kind of meant as like a player crutch, but it should have been an option, is the thing. And I think the main reason they had it this way, or one of the reasons, was that when you get right on top of the AI, they will try to get out of line. They won't really accept a push from you perfectly. They'll try to get out of your way. Because they think when you're right on their bumper, they think that you're next to them. But as you can see, it's not going to slow me down. So when they check up, I can wait till last second to pull out of line. Them checking up for each other, it does not cause me to have to check up. I can do so just reactionary rather than being forced to do so. So you can actually race a heck of a lot easier, a heck of a lot less frustrating. Especially even at other tracks, smaller tracks, when you catch up to a lap car, you end up, if you get behind them within like a car length, it's just going to slow you down. And, it's really frustrating to just not have that control of whether you want to actually slow down or not. But this is completely fixed. And as you can see, I'm struggling to catch up here, but I can pull right up to Gregson's bumper and give him a push if I wanted to. I ran myself in the wall. They will still get mad if you hit them too hard, but that said, I don't know if you noticed the first bump that I did to somebody, they actually didn't get mad for it. So you can get away with pushing without having them get angry. However, it's not quite, it's not super easy to get an actual push that is meaningful. So we'll see if we could do a light enough one here. See, he tried to get out of he's trying to move over to give me room, which made him run into, gosh, he ran into the 38 and then braked really hard, so he got mad because he hit the brakes. So, it's not perfect if you actually try to push them, but it is possible to do so now. Maybe, make that a personal challenge and try it out to push someone else to the win now that you can literally push them. So yeah, there's this feature I think is freaking huge, especially stuff like share draft also is something that auto brake applied a lot to. I think it was a little more sensitive when you were share drafting as well. So, now this is entirely possible to just not worry about that. Though you do have to be more cognizant of your runs and checkups in front of you. So I lifted that time to not hit them, because that's essentially now you're going to have to do that part manually. Or it'll allow you to actually set up a run and get right to somebody's bumper before you decide to pull out a line. So I can go right up to Carson and just swoop right next to him. Last second, you could kind of do that last second pass out of turn 4 for the win. You could do that a lot more, I would say more realistically for the 2003 car at least, but you could do that a lot more easily than you used to, because you used to have to pull out a line and then they go to throw the block and then suddenly your car hits the auto brake when they throw a half of a block, and there goes all your momentum even though you did nothing wrong in setting it up. That's going to do it for this video and the 1.56 update to the mod tool. Next up, the only thing I really have left that I want to do that is on the radar is the Holy Grail. Again, that bounty is still up for grabs. If anyone wants to try to help figure it out, I can, just shoot me a message on Discord if you're serious about wanting to look into it and you have some sort of modding experience, so you can poke around with it, and I'll get you up to speed onto where I'm at so far and what I'm stuck on and what is the hold up here. So that's still in the works. The 1991 pack is practically done. The 91 pack is pretty much waiting on getting the Holy Grail found. Once I do find the actual live driver ratings and I'm able to edit the driver ratings from race to race on the fly a lot more smoothly and accurately in career mode, then we'll go ahead and get the 91 pack complete and released. So that's going to happen, like I said, that's going to be later on. But hopefully sooner than later, but we'll see how long it takes to figure things out. Thanks again to everyone for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy the update. Let me know in the comments if you were as hyped about auto brake being gone and bonus points and field sizes and caution triggers and all these 4 things that we got in this update as I am. I mean, to me, the auto brake's the big one. The field sizes is nice for the modern packs. And yeah, so that's it. One last thing I want to note is I did update the Vanilla Plus pack to have some of these features as checkbox options in the cheats menu. So again, make sure you check the top of the cheats menu for enabling the ones you want. Note that sometimes unchecking an item when it was already checked in the cheats menu does not disable it the way you would think. So the only option that is getting added in is the auto brake being removed for the Vanilla Plus pack. So auto brake, you can't essentially shut it off by unchecking it only. You have to uncheck it and restart the game inside the emulator for it to actually take effect. The reason being is once that data has changed for auto brake, then it's there forever. The 43 car field, that one's going to be on by default for Vanilla Plus. That's not going to be a separate deal. That's going to be just included. But for Vanilla Plus, if you've already had it installed, there's a new link in the description that is the PNatch file only. That's only if you've already got the Vanilla Plus pack. Then just grab the PNatch file. I'm not going to make you re-download all of the same files that you already have. But if you do not have the Vanilla Plus pack yet, do not use the PNatch only link that is in the description. Please use the regular Vanilla Plus pack link, also in the description, should be above that one.